Good morning, everybody. It's the 5th of September. Try to remember the 5th of September. I, of course, am in Minsk as usual. The reason why I'm not traveling is, it's partly to do with money. I don't really want to be, I'm a very prudent person. I don't like to spend money too much. You wouldn't believe it. But anyway, maybe I shouldn't get into that. But anyway, I just got off at the Proletarsky metro station here in Minsk. And it is the 5th of September, as I said. Still in the morning time. I think it's about 11 o'clock. And let's see what we're looking at here. Of course, a bus. Looks like some kind of a factory. I don't know. I don't know if I can quite see through the window there. I've never been here. Just like most other places, whenever I go for these news walks, I'd never been there. And well, I should mention, I'll talk a little bit later about it. I have a big critic as a subscriber. Doesn't like where I go for my walks, but I don't even know sometimes. Like I went to a garage place on my last video. I didn't even know there were garages there, but I saw from a little bit of a distance that there was some kind of a heating plant there. So actually I wanted to go there, and to get there I went through some garages. But like I say, it's not like I've been there. I'm kind of on a voyage of discovery myself. But telling me that I shouldn't go there, I don't even know that it's there. So and actually, I don't know that it really should be the place of subscribers to tell me where to go, what to say, to cut my hair, how I should learn Russian, where I should do it, and all that sort of thing. But giving me a lot of orders and telling me, I'm not a person. I don't really respond too well to people ordering me around and telling me what to do, how to do it. My father was like that. With my father, it was, I don't know, a lot of you might have grown up in a similar family, wanted to tell me what kind of car to drive, what sort of job I should have, all that sort of thing. And, and then if you don't do what they say, they start insulting you. It's kind of like say a subscriber saying I'm lazy. If I don't know Russian by now, I'm lazy. So I guess that means Mike Jones is also lazy. So is John Mark Dugan, and so many other people. And I don't know. I'm not going to really accuse any of them of being lazy. So, and then of course when I have some kind of a defense for myself, then making up all kinds of excuses why I don't have a defense or something. I don't know. One discussion was about the difference between German and Russian. That German is much more difficult than Russian, even though most everybody on planet Earth will agree that English-speaking people have a much more difficult time of learning Russian than they do German. But and German, or actually English is based on German. It is part of the Teutonic branch of languages. And Russian is off on it's a Slavic language. But no. German's harder than Russian. Come on. Anyway, it's kind of ridiculous. I don't even know it's not really worth the point of arguing something when somebody is completely wrong. You can't, whatever you say, you're wrong anyway. So, yeah, I've been lazy all my life, I guess. I could be going through a lot of credentials. And even though nobody in my life has ever told me I'm lazy, but somebody who's only seen me in videos tells me I'm lazy. I guess they call that cyberbullying, And a person like, even if you're a knowledgeable person, maybe you're older, you should have some intelligence and some wisdom. And it seems like a lot of that stuff has passed you by. You're not intelligent and you don't have any wisdom. You have to realize that. So have to start looking at yourself, if you before you start criticizing other people. Who was that said in the Bible, about judging people? I don't know. It's just like insulting people, and it's like the whole objective is to make a person, or at least try to make a person feel bad or something like that. And who knows what that objective, why that person is doing this? I don't understand it. But anyway, let me go back into the news here. So, a lot of people are talking about Erdogan and Putin, in this meeting, and that they had a one-day meeting in Sochi yesterday. And I'll tell you what, it's like a big nothing burger. It's nothing they couldn't have talked about on the telephone. It's nothing that anybody already knew. That they seek to do more transactions in their own currency, that they seek to increase their trade to $1 billion a year. What other things that they talk about? It's, to finish the gas hub, and that they want to get the grain deal going again but it first depends on the West to fulfill their obligations. So all of this stuff was already known long before the meeting anyway. It's kind of like a big nothing burger. I don't even know if it's worth commenting on, because it's all obvious and all that kind of stuff here. So, hey, I'll tell you, looks like there's some garages over there. I should go over there. Yes. Some of you like that garage stuff. I don't mind it at all. It's just that there's a lot less people there, so you can go through there and talk a little bit more freely and walk. I don't like sitting in one place. And a lot of you said that you like the walks. But one person wants me to sit down on a bench the whole time with the same background the entire time. I don't know. Maybe the objective is that I can concentrate a lot better when there's no distractions. But then there is distractions. People come by, things like that. You might get some drunk come and sit next to you. So they don't like the crunching of the gravel under my feet. Well, you should stop Alex Cristoforo too, and so many other people. Alex Cristoforo, in the summertime, he's on the beach, and of course the sand doesn't make any noise, but I've heard him crunching too, going in places. So I don't know. So all I want to say is, if you're making comments, it's kind of annoying, and most people would delete somebody like that who just comments just to be insulting. Don't make your objective to be insulting. If you have something good to say or interesting to say, you can politely say some things, but calling somebody stupid or lazy or something like that, I don't really have any burning desire necessarily to delete somebody like that, because it's actually good when you deal with people that are contentious. They always want to fight and insult and things like that. I get enough of that anyway. So, but I don't know. It's actually, kind of good sometimes to have somebody like that, as long as you have a little bit of confidence in your life, somebody coming up and always criticizing you. I don't know. So I always did what I wanted to do. When I was a kid anyway, no matter what my father said, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, And normally he always came around and said, hey, that was a good decision. Or he didn't come right out and say that, but he, I don't know. You have that all the time. Had that most of my life anyway, with about everything. So any of you out there, when you have somebody that wants to control you and keep telling you what you should do, what you shouldn't do, they're not in your shoes. They don't have any aspect. They don't know you better than you know yourself. What you can do and what you can't do. So I don't know. Don't let people control you. Matter of fact, that's why I came to Belarus, is because in the West they seek to control you. But wait a minute. There's an evil dictator here. Dictators want to control people. But yet, so why is it nobody's forced to get a shot here, get a shot in the arm? Nobody's forced to wear masks here. Nobody was locked down. I guess that's an evil dictator. Look at democracy, Trudeau, Australia, Biden. Gosh. Well, one of the big things is, you all should learn to think for yourselves. I'm sure most of you that watch this channel already can. Don't be listening because somebody who has some good credentials, by the way, and is a very convincing person tells you Gonzalo Lira is a spy for the SBU. It's like, what? So what is he doing? What is he doing? My God, my God. Let me tell you something else about Gonzalo Lira. One of the subscribers was writing something about this. I don't know everything about Gonzalo Lira. We just kind of started on a WhatsApp relationship just before he was taken, unfortunately. And I was continuing that, and I was getting some kind of weird responses and things like that. And it was obviously not Gonzalo Lira. And like we found out later, somebody was in charge of his phone or whatever device he was using when he was communicating with me. And we'd only exchanged a few messages before that time. So anyway, his situation was that he was having I think he was splitting with his wife, and they have 2 kids. I think one was 8 and one is 10. And they're trying for custody of their kids. And so that's why he was staying in Ukraine after the first time he was arrested. And he didn't mention all of this stuff. I wasn't watching all of his videos. Look at this, more graffiti, see? Another distraction. Oh, I should have sat on a bench. No, but that person that also is very critical of me thinks that Gonzalo Lira is a dirty, nasty spy as well. So I was thinking that like I said, somebody, I don't know, maybe it's somebody working for the other side and playing as if, I don't know. You never know. I don't really care, like I say. Person gets too nasty, then I will cancel them, of course, but I don't know. But anyway, Gonzalo Lira, he has his own problems, and then just to assume, because unfortunately Scott Ritter, and I still like Scott Ritter, he understands, for example, Slavic people a lot better. The Slavic culture and the history much better than most anybody that I know, even better than myself. No, I'm learning a lot of this stuff, and he only so when he says it says, yeah, that's true, I found that out myself. He's very good with his words, and he can actually express himself very good, Scott Ritter, and that's and he was having a feud with Gonzalo Lira, so that's the whole impetus behind his deal. And Gonzalo Lira is not an asset of the SBU, and he's not a spy of the SBU. He has his own reasons. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that. So it's not like I know this stuff for sure. But then again, the same people that will say, how can you say that? You don't know that. But those are the same people that will say, he's a spy. And I said, how do you know that? Come on, I mean, like I said, these are hyenas. These are hyenas just jumping on Gonzalo Lira based on the words of some person who's having a feud with him. So, and of course, like I said, the same person who's critical of virtually everything I do and everything I say, a subscriber. I don't even know why this person is still a subscriber. Maybe they've canceled already. I don't know. I mean, they should go somewhere else. If they disagree with everything I do, everything I say, and all that sort of thing, want to control me, tell me to get a haircut and all that, they should just go to some other channel. So I don't know. I don't know. Just be a normal person and have a little bit of tolerance or something, or else just go somewhere else. But stay open-minded. I mean, if you don't know this stuff about Gonzalo Lira, so why jump on this bandwagon? Like I said, a hyena. Yes, I'll repeat that again. A hyena. You're a hyena. Said, oh, let's get Gonzalo Lira. I mean, I'm sure you'd be the first one to cast the first stone, wouldn't you? Jeez. And a lot of this stuff, a lot of you are Christians out there, and I don't really even proclaim to be a Christian. So what is a Christian? Some people said, you're not a Christian. It's because I don't believe in everything that's in the Bible, in the Old Testament especially. But I do believe in Jesus. I believe in Jesus. And I was thinking a Christian was somebody who believes in the teachings of Jesus. And I don't know of any greater person that I have ever heard of that walked the earth greater than Jesus. And even Muhammad says that Jesus was the greatest person. So I guess we're supposed to hate the Muslims because, see, none of this stuff makes any sense, really. And so, I don't know. Like I said, what's a Christian? Somebody who believes what's told, what somebody tells them to. Who told them that? Did Jesus tell you that? Not necessarily. Who wrote the Bible? Was it God? I said, who wrote the Bible? Did God write the Bible? No, but it was inspired by God. Well, say, well, I've seen movies that are inspired by the truth too, but they don't seem to be accurate. Matter of fact, I even know that there's movies. One was the Bruce Lee story, and they show you things and tell you it's in San Francisco when it's not. He went to the University of Washington, the same university that I went to. He studied philosophy, of course, before my time. I'm pretty old, and I'm not that old, and you know, but that was inspired by the truth, and they tell you that was in San Francisco. So that was not. It was inspired by the truth, but it was certainly far from it. In other words. I just don't believe everything everybody tells me. And sometimes you find yourself in that trap, and you actually do. You start to believe in something, you find out, oh, that was not quite good information. And you don't necessarily blame the person that gave you the bad information. Sometimes it's perpetuated through somebody else. I've seen that too, like when I was doing farming, things like that. I was also, you know, I grew macadamia nuts as well as coffee. And you know, you read something, and it's put out by a reporter, by the way, and they're telling you about you know, things about how to grow macadamia nuts and certain things about them, and then you find out it's wrong, and you find out they probably got it from the same other site, and I've even read those other things, you know, those other sites, and you find out it was bad information. And then, not only that, you find somebody who's growing macadamia, I remember in Hawaii, and then they saw this really strange thing. They had a macadamia nut tree. Somebody's coming. Looks like a drunk guy. Better turn around and go the other way. They had a macadamia nut tree that had pink flowers. Oh my God, pink flowers, and they're all white in Hawaii. Well, it turns out that is just one variety. You know, they're like how many varieties? I think they said 16 of some macadamia nut. There was only 2 varieties that are edible. The other ones are poison, and the one they grow in Hawaii is the integrifolia, and that has white flowers. And gosh, what is the name of the one that they normally grow in California? What's the? Anyway, there are sub-varieties, and they give names for these things too. But anyway, the 2 edible varieties are, one has pink flowers and one has white. And normally, if they're a hybrid, they get the pink flowers and all that. So. But here's somebody growing macadamia nuts, and they've never seen a pink flower before. They didn't even know that. And I knew that, and I didn't even start growing them yet. So that's just to show you how you can be sidetracked by any kind of information, and information you do know, information you don't know. And again, it's just like what we're talking about right now. You're watching these this military conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and all the sites that I go to, they're always telling you only about the Ukrainian losses. They lost 600 here and 200 and all that sort of thing. And they never tell you about any Russian losses, as if no Russian has ever died in this. But you know, they're losing too, and I guess sometimes they're getting really significant losses as well. Not as much as the Ukrainian. And of course they're still winning, but don't be fooled, you know, because that's what they're doing in the West. They're telling everybody that the Russians are losing, Ukrainians are winning, and they only telling you probably, and then most of them are lies, I guess, telling you about the Russian losses. So you got to be skeptical about everything, you know, try to step back and say, well, now, hey, am I getting the truth? Am I not getting the truth? I don't know. And like I'm saying too, you get some subscribers, even though they're very intellectual, they've studied this, they studied that, and even they're older in age, but I tell you, apparently they don't have any intelligence, nor do they get any wisdom in their age, because these are things that they should know, and they don't know. So I'm not going to call them stupid, you know, because that's an insult. I don't want to do that to any individual person. Now you get these people in these high positions, like running countries and all that, and they're screwing up the whole country, getting maybe lots of people killed or whatnot, anything. And a lot of time it's A lot of them are stupid. Look at Baerbock. Look at Annalena Baerbock. What did she just say? I mean, that was might a blooper or something. I can't remember what country she said was having, what is it, 60 tons of cocaine or something. Maybe she was thinking of Zelensky at that time. I don't have any idea. But that was like a Biden thing. I don't know. But a lot of these people are. Look at Trudeau. I tell you what. Trudeau is a. I don't know. I don't even want to go into Trudeau. He's just a nasty guy. Just a nasty, nasty person. He deserves all insults that he can possibly get thrown at him. So anyway, here I got sidetracked. Going off on a rant here. So I think I'll name this video The Rant. A neighborhood rant. In another bad place. There's no garages, but of course people are not going to, same person's not going to like this. Seeing they'll be insulting me that there's piles of dirt and rocks here. What the heck? I don't give a crap, you know. Make your own video if you don't like it. So anyway, all I got to was Erdogan and Putin, and there's a big nothing burger there, you know. Another part of this was, you know, they might be building another nuclear power plant for Turkey, probably in a different area. There's also some talk about doing that for Belarus too. They got the one over there towards Lithuania. And of course they're complaining, even though I don't know how many miles away it is, but instead of maybe getting energy, which they're in need of, from Belarus, you know, I think they're planning on suing them or something. I don't have any idea. You know, but they just love to go after Belarus for anything they possibly can dream up. You know, Wagner, like I said, you know, and you all probably already know that they lost all their big heavy artillery and everything, and basically they just have some rifles, and Poland is acting like they're pissing their pants afraid of Wagner. You know, shows how much they think of their own military. So, I don't. Russia intends to have a huge grain harvest, maybe not a record grain harvest, but very, very substantial. And Russia is already making plans, I guess they're quite developed, of them sending grain to 6 African countries, independent of this grain deal. You know, and there's what was the problem with this grain deal? First, they kept the Russian grain, and now they owe a lot of money to Russia, which they're not paying back. And then they were supposed to be using this corridor, you know, that was protected for shipping in the Black Sea, just for grain, but yet they were transporting weapons to Ukraine with that. So, you know, it's whatever you think might happen that's bad for Russia coming from the West will happen. It's kind of like a Murphy's Law. They'll call it Ivan's Law. I don't know. Insurance, they weren't insuring, and I think most of that shipping is Greek shipping, and I presume now that it's Russian shipping. They're probably doing their own. That's why you don't see as much, because the Greeks, I think Alex Cristoforo will probably know a lot more about that. They're the ones that are doing most of the shipping, and I think the shipping and the insurance, I don't know if it's done through Belgium or Barclays or Great Britain or whatever. So anyway, they're making a lot of money on that, and not giving anything to Russia. So Russia just lost huge amounts, and I don't know. It seems like they're not like even crying about it. So they're going to be sending a lot of free grain. I don't know if the shipping is going to be free and there's a cost for the insurance. I'm not privy to all of this stuff. Yes. And you hear about these drone strikes. You hear it every single night. There's a drone strike on Crimea, and there's drone strikes on old Russia and new Russia. So Crimea is part of new Russia, and old Russia is before the military operation. So it's like, I don't know, it's not real. It's something that should be reported, but it's just not big news. It's just, like I said, should be reported, but it's not big news unless you're one of the ones that got bombed, or if you're one of these places that got bombed. It's of course big news to you there. Depleted uranium. Now the USA is sending depleted uranium, as you all know. That's been mentioned some days ago, and so it's the UK and the United States And of course, they escalate very slowly, because if they did all of these nasty things all at one time, it would revoke a military response, a direct military response on some of these countries from Russia. So that's why they do it gradually. And the Abrams are there now, and there's a Telegram. It's all over on Telegram in lots of different places where they show a burning Challenger tank. Actually, I wrote this down a little bit further on. Let me find if I can find the quote here. Let's see here. Yes, it was a burning Challenger tank. Somebody driving their car, and passed it. And it just came out today, as a matter of fact. So this is a new feed if you find it on Telegram. I don't know. Maybe it's. I don't know if they'll put this on YouTube. So it just shows a burning Challenger tank, and it says totally destroyed. And it is and the British Defense Ministry insists it has never experienced, the Challenger has never experienced a loss at the hands of the enemy. So in other words, it's a undefeated tank, the Challenger tank. So, but that one was burning us. I guess it's just an imagination sort of a deal here. Okay. So anyway, and I found out that these depleted uranium shells, each one has 4 kilograms of depleted uranium. And Russia had said at one time that tungsten, if they used tungsten shells, that it's about as effective, as destructive as depleted uranium. So they're wondering why the West uses depleted uranium, because it's poisonous, very highly toxic. And you hear about all of these birth defects, even from American soldiers' families, So a soldier gets poisoned by depleted uranium, and there's a lot of children. I remember back in my day when I was in the military, in the Army, and at that time we were actually calling them mini nukes, but I think mini nukes now, a lot of people would refer to these tactical nukes as mini nukes, but we didn't have tactical nukes back in those days, so some people called these mini nukes, these little depleted uranium things, because it was a big bang with these smaller sized shells. But anyway, a lot of children of servicemen were like born with like no arms, just hands coming out of their torso and things like that. That was a very common one. Genetic defects, anyway. Terrible stuff. And in the U.S., just like with Agent Orange and all that sort of stuff, said, "Oh no, it's perfectly safe, perfectly safe." Yes. But tungsten, they could use tungsten, and tungsten is a very, very hard metal. And I worked a very little bit with tungsten, as a dental technician, because it's and it's not put in anybody's mouth or nothing like that. So it's just used as for certain tools and stuff like sandblasters, because it's very, very durable. It's a very hard metal, but it's very brittle. It breaks very easy. So you have to know where to use it, in what in what capacities, and it's used illegally in one capacity because it has a molecular weight very close to gold. So what they use tungsten for very often, I think in German it's called Wolfram. So because I learned it in Germany, but a lot of times you have to learn these these things in English, because I learned it first in German. Tungsten steel, it's actually Wolfram, like wolf. And but what they use tungsten for illegally is because it has a molecular weight very close to gold. They take tungsten bars and they just coat them, or maybe they're even galvanized. I don't know the melting temperature, so if you can galvanize that but they galvanize these things. I'm sure it's probably not galvanized, because I believe it's a thicker coating. So they coat a tungsten bar, so the core is tungsten and the outer part is gold, so they can sell it as if you're buying a gold bar, but you're not. So yes. And you know, the depleted uranium has huge heat. It's really, really very, very hot. So that's just so you know a little bit more about it. Highly poisonous, nasty stuff. I don't even want to get close to that. And Russia is very much against it. They do have a lot of their own depleted uranium. By the way, you might have already noticed, you hear those over the loudspeaker, this is also a train station. Small train station. It's not the, I don't know how many train stations there are in Minsk. You know, there's I think just one main train station. And then of course there's a number of smaller ones. I only have seen 2 small ones. This is very small here. And I don't even know what kind of trains you can take from here. Maybe just the electricity trains. They call them electricity trains, and they go kind of slow, but very, very, very cheap. You go about halfway across Belarus for $3. You have to get up early. They stop everywhere. Milk runs, you know. Okay, what else? You heard Rezhnikov has been fired. You know, very rich guy now. Anybody that was ever in high positions in the Ukrainian government is very, very rich. What was the guy? The Nuland called him Yatsenyuk. I believe he, well, what people say. Like I said again, you got to be cautious with information. They say he was a billionaire, but he's got a big mansion with a swimming pool and all that in the United States. And at the very beginning, he was just a poor guy. I don't know. He probably had less than I do. You know. So. And when he first got into office, when Victoria Nuland put him in there. But he's a very rich man now. And Zelensky, as you all know, I think he was getting close to Donald Trump like over a year ago, and now he's definitely surpassed Donald Trump. Like I said, I heard somewhere he's worth $4 billion, I believe, the last I heard. And not that long ago, less than a year ago, he was worth $2 billion. So, or it was $2.5 billion. I don't know. Take a walk this way. Oh, maybe I can go into the garages, because I know that a lot of people love the garages. So I think it's a garage area here. Let's see. If it is, maybe I'll go there. Yeah, let's do this. No, it's just a junkyard. Always also interesting. Look at it. Some old appliances over there. But it looks like it's private, so I can't go in there. Yeah, and you also heard that Ukraine is mobilizing. The biggest mobilization. I don't think anybody's said in that term, but it's pretty obvious. It's the biggest mobilization they have ever done. Really, really, really big. They're even having the European Union countries, probably even beyond the European Union, sending military age Ukrainian men, at least, back to Ukraine to go and fight on the front line. Gosh, they're also mobilizing students. Before, students were, you know, in higher education, they were, you know, they didn't have to go. Strange, I always forget a little bit of my vocabulary whenever I'm doing these videos. But they didn't have to go. And they're also now even mobilizing more women. They didn't do that supposedly before. But then I saw not too long ago, they were having some films and they showed these very young Ukrainians, you know, smiling, happy, beautiful girls, young, handsome guys in uniform, you know, around a tank or whatever. But I tell you, I'm realizing now, I kind of was suspecting then, but I'm pretty sure what that was. Those were just, what do they call those? Not propaganda, promotion. Those are just promotion films, you know. So the girls can say, look at it, it's handsome young guys, and they're cool. Yeah. And then the guys can say, look at these beautiful girls. They're soldiers in the military, so I'm going to join too. So that's what I have to say about that. What about Africa, Niger, Gabon? You know, you don't hear so much about a real imminent military threat. I guess they've cooled down a lot from that, you know, even though it's still present there. And I think Alex Cristoforo, when he was saying that the ECOWAS states are now more committed to going and to attacking Niger. But I don't know. I don't know. I think I heard that even before. But you know, there has to go along with some sort of a training and preparations. But apparently they're preparing it. I don't know. I'm not going to go into that. Look. I'll walk over here. I don't even know what that is over there. A vacant lot, a lot of trees. But here we have Santa. That's how you spell Santa in Russian. Santa Super. Meanwhile, in South Africa, there was a researcher, I believe a research professor from South Africa. He came out with something, you know, very true. And I'll tell you about this. His name is Oscar van Heerden. Heerden. I don't know. I'm trying to pronouncing it like German, but van Heerden. And he said he advised the U.S. to join the multipolar world, and if they do so, they could thereby occupy the hegemonic position for a few more decades, for 2 more decades. Still be the hegemon, you know? Still be the hegemon, be in charge. Well, not, well, he said hegemonic position. They won't be the hegemon because multipolar is, of course, the inverse of that sort of a thing. But let me get out in the light here. But if they continue to fight to prove they are the hegemon, the bully, he said, they will find that their position will be short-lived. Their being knocked off the perch will be expedited. So they're going to be knocked off the perch. Guess I can walk here. Cars have to stop for me when there's no light, so. Oh, look at this. Look at this. I could be the Beatles, you know. What was it, Abbey Road? I don't know. Can't remember. Old guy. I forgot all that stuff. Yes. There is another vlogger. He's actually more into travel. He's a very nice guy. And, you know, he's written to me once or twice. But I have a very small channel, so he doesn't mention me on his channel. That's okay. No, but he's been doing this for quite some time. He was here in Belarus many years before I was. I don't know how many years he's been here, 8 years. You know, at least 5 years anyhow. And he mentioned in his last videos, it's the Irish Partisan. So look up the Irish Partisan. And he just did a video, and he's in Mogilev, which was at one time, as he mentioned, they were considering that to make that the capital of Belarus. And it's closer to Russia. It's like in between Minsk and the Russian border. So it's also quite a large city. Very nice. He kind of walks around there a little bit. But he's actually more informative than I am about Belarus. He has some good sources. He is an English teacher and has been doing that for many, many, many years. He's a big sports fan too. I think he walks around in a sports stadium there in Mogilev. I'm not really, I just do sports on my own, but I'm not into sports. I don't watch football or nothing like that. Yes. So, yes, I don't like football. I wouldn't be excited, somebody told me, seeing Olivier play Hamlet. So, because I don't like those foreign teams. Olivia playing Hamlet. I don't like foreign teams. Anyway, just a joke I heard somewhere. But he was talking about, say, trying to learn Russian for one thing in Belarus. And of course, it's much more difficult to learn Russian in Belarus than it is in Russia. And it used to be more difficult to learn Russian in Belarus than even Ukraine. But now, of course, with them banning the language, well, he doesn't mention that part, but they're banning the Russian language, as you know, in Ukraine. But in Belarus, there's a number of reasons why it's more difficult. For example, if you go into the subways and going into the like government buildings and all that, most everything is written in Belarusian, not really in Russian. Sometimes you get both languages, like in the subway, or a lot of times when you see something and you ask somebody, what is that word? What does that mean? Oh, that's Belarusian, they'll tell you. So what the hell? You know, that's probably Belarusian too, the name of this street, I don't know. So it's a little bit difficult in that way. You know, it's not just learning the letters and all that, 33 letters, Cyrillic and all that. You know, and it's like the person that was criticizing me who knows a little bit of Russian. First she was saying she knows Russian, now she says she knows a little bit of Russian. But, you know, going and learning a few words, traveling around in Russia, you know, I can do that. But even this Irish partisan, he was talking in English in his, and he's been here many, many years. He's been taking Russian instruction for a long time. He has a tutor and everything. And he was answering, somebody wrote to him something in Russian, and I could even understand, you know, very quickly. I didn't go back and look again, but I was seeing that I could understand a lot of the words that that person wrote in Russian. And he was trying to answer in Russian, the Irish partisan, and got really tongue-tied. Because, you know, switching from English, you know, talking to people in English, and then going right away into Russian when you haven't, I don't know, he's even had the language a lot longer. But with me, I've only been doing this for a very short time. I can even have difficulties doing it in German, and I'm considered fluent in German. When I was in Germany, you know, definitely I could get along and go anywhere, do anything. I could talk technically to people and all that. There's the Beamtensprache, which is, you know, the government's, you know, language. Was actually kind of confusing. And even if you know most of the words, you're not knowing what this context is. Some of the words you may not know. There's some pretty weird words too in German. But technically, hey, I learned, I had to take a test to learn in German, and I was one of the top of my class in the German, so obviously I must know German, right? But anyway, you know, just knowing a little bit of Russian doesn't mean you know Russian. And then again, also, like I said with the Irish partisan, to switch talking in English and then all of a sudden answer somebody in Russian, you see that he really struggled with that, and maybe he didn't even know a few words. See, that's the way it was with me. I can start talking to somebody and I know the first couple words, and then I don't know the very important word that's actually a normal word that you should know, very easy in English. And if you don't know it, so then you lose a little bit of confidence and you don't talk. So, but I don't know. But for a subscriber to come out, you know, come out and start insulting me or something because I don't speak fluent Russian yet, you know, and constantly, you know, telling me that I should and all that. I know that, I want to do that, and I say that myself. I want to learn better Russian. And it's very, very difficult in Belarus because the people, what the Irish partisan said in his video, is the Belarusian people, they're not as open as the Ukrainians or the Russians. So you don't really just go up to a Belarusian and start talking to them necessarily. Very, very large number of them are not really receptive to that. So like I said, you can do that in Russia. Russia's a lot more open. And apparently is Ukraine. I've never been to Ukraine, but that's what he said. So, okay, I'll show you a garbage here. That same person will start complaining that I showed a garbage too. My God. I don't know, trying to control everything about my channel. So, and like I said, I don't know, the person with all this critique, you know, you might just do me a favor and just cancel your subscription and just go to some other channel or something like that, because I'm probably on the verge of just deleting the person, because I don't do these videos for somebody to criticize me and insult me. I'm not doing this for insults. I'm just partly doing this for myself, and I'll let you know other reasons. sometime, maybe in the near future. We'll see. But let's go. The Irish partisan. So, if you watch this video, so and he's, like I said, he's been here a lot longer than I have, and anybody can go order stuff, you know. And I know of somebody, and this is another thing right now, and I might even have this guy on the video. He learned Russian for 1 year before I even came over here and started even learning the first Russian word. He was learning Russian for 1 year. And since I met him in the class, and the class was his teacher that was teaching him for a year, and the class was only 1 hour a day. It was only a month or so. You know, it was after my other class, but the other class was cut short. It was a 3-month class, but it was cut short because the teacher got sick and couldn't talk, like kind of a laryngitis sort of thing. So I didn't get the full class there. So I don't know if I had 3 months or whatever, but anyway, maybe altogether, because this other one, the class was actually geared towards this guy, because the people that signed up, that were supposed to sign up, they didn't show up and they didn't pay, so it was only us two. And yeah, it was, and the teacher was asking where, she thought I learned a lot of Russian somewhere, because I was actually, in my first class that was canceled, I was ahead of all the other people, basically. There was one girl, she was really good in a lot of ways. She's very spontaneous, and she could come up, so she's probably very good at getting around and talking to people, you know. But I don't know, we were maybe two of the better students in the class, you know. But yet I'm lazy, you know. Lazy. Established 2 businesses, graduated Phi Alpha Theta from the university, and I don't know, most people, I've even been in groups and people are sitting around saying how hard I work and how amazing I am and stuff, but yet this person, the subscriber, knows everything about me and says I'm lazy. So that's pretty good. First person I've ever heard in my entire lifetime that has ever said that I'm lazy. So anyway, like I said, just cancel your subscription, please. Maybe you already have. And what else? I was talking about the Irish partisan, but you know, I was talking about my friend. Anyway, this friend of mine, even though he'd been learning like a year before me, and I'm not blaming this person, because, you know, is this person lazy? Is this person stupid? No, he's not. He's not stupid and he's not lazy. He happens to be a very, very highly prized programmer in China. I think he works for Huawei or for DJI. They sent him here to Belarus and are paying his entire way. He's got a full ticket, housing, food, everything, classes, to learn Russian as well as a management class. And he is going to go back and manage a huge department in one of these major tech companies. So I guess he's a lazy guy, huh? That's how he got that way? No, he's a really super person too. And he's like, I think he's 35 now. I haven't seen him for a while, but he's in Minsk, and we text sometimes. He knows some English too, but he's mostly good on his device. So, but in any case, he said, you know, once I was asking him, I said, how come you don't take the train? You know, why are you taking these vans? You know, because you can take there's one train, like I just told you, there's one train that's very cheap. I don't, at that time, I don't know that it was his money that he was spending or not, or if he's getting it from the company, from DJI or whatever in China, in Shenzhen. You know, the most probably advanced modern city on planet Earth is where he lives. So he actually comes from some other place, but they gave him an apartment because he's very good, like I tell you, very good programmer. So, but he's lazy because he doesn't know Russian. Anyway, he said he's not taking the train because he can't order a ticket. And it's not that he's stupid, and it's not that he's lazy. See, in his case, he's Chinese, and Chinese have a very big difficulty in actually the pronunciation of this, you know, from their language to Russian. So somebody criticizing me, thinking they know everything about me and why I'm not fluent in Russian right now, you know, maybe I have my reasons. So, and to me, actually, the main reason is you just don't go up and start talking to somebody in Belarus. And a person suggests that I go up to somebody and say, oh, what a pretty dog. You don't even do that in Belarus. You don't go up and do that kind of stuff. You know what the Belarusians think? They think you're crazy. They think you're a nut. Because that's part of their culture, is they just don't go up and start talking to people, you know? And if somebody is so intelligent and knowledgeable and so wise, maybe you better go back to school and start learning this stuff, that there are differences in culture in different countries, you know? So that's about all I got to say to that, you know? You're not in my shoes, you know? So don't sit there and criticize other people. There's probably something in the Bible about that too, you know? Judging people, sitting there and thinking you know everything about my life and everything about my situation. I don't know. So what have you been doing in all those years? So here I'm being critical too, and I don't really like to do this to people. But I don't like it done to me either, and you know, maybe sometimes people, they need a little bit of a slap in the face. And if you're so wise and so smart, why don't you just show it instead of doing things that most people are a lot smarter than they would never do. Nobody else has done that to me on this channel, except for somebody who believes they're so highly intelligent and so wise. So don't do that, you know. You might need to wake up a little bit. Don't tell me how to learn Russian. Don't tell me any of this stuff. Don't give me orders. Don't tell me to get a haircut. None of this kind of stuff. Like I said, you might end up getting yourself canceled, but I'm sure you don't matter. It doesn't matter to you. It doesn't really matter to me either, you know. I mean, I can do without that. 99.9% of anybody that has a channel would have canceled you already. But like I said, it's not so bad when people are critical like that, because you have to learn how to deal with people like this in your lifetime. And so that's very good. I'd rather do it with somebody online than somebody to my face. Yeah, you already get people that are criticizing you to your face. So, you know, very easy for somebody else to sit back and tell me how to do stuff and what I should do and all that. Like I said, I came to Belarus to get away from that kind of thing. So, anyway, I don't know if I have anything more to add. I don't think so. So anyway, I don't tell anybody what to do. So subscribe. Anyway, send me some money. Anyway, people, I thank you very much for joining me, and subscribe. No, I'll see you on the next one, and yeah, thanks again. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody. I just want to make one correction. In the earlier part of my video, I said that that these Belarusians are unlikely to speak to you, you know, if you try to speak of them in Belarus, but that's not accurate. In the cities such as Minsk, any big cities, small cities are, you know, Baranovichi, also not so good, not so much. But probably the smaller towns and the villages out in the countryside, if you try to talk to Belarusians, of course, they're not going to look at you as being crazy necessarily. So, you know, it's just like that in the cities. I guess people are a little bit more to themselves. Part of this, I think, has to go back to the culture of the Soviet Union, and probably a little bit to do with Belarus's single culture, I guess, as well. Like I said, I've heard about that anyway, that people are not as open. Actually, they said in Russia, but of course the Belarusians are less open than the Russians by far. So I just wanted to clarify that before I finish this video. And that's all. And again, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for joining me.